Hi, this is Dave and welcome to the Table, a series of videos where I review and discuss various board and card games, looking at them from a family perspective. Today we're going to be taking a look at One Night Ultimate Werewolf from Bezier Games. Now this is a fast-paced, simplified version of Ultimate Werewolf. And it plays in about 10 minutes and you don't need a moderator and there's no player elimination. So everybody's in this game until the end. Now, this is for 3 to 10 players and every person will take on a role and you are trying to determine who the werewolf is. You have one night to do it. If you can catch the werewolf and lynch him, you as the villagers can win. Now, if you are the werewolf and you manage to stay alive and no other werewolves die, then the werewolf team wins. Alright, let's take a look at this game and how it's played, and I'll come back and I'll give you my thoughts. Okay, here's what comes in One Night Ultimate Werewolf. And first of all, as you see here right in the middle, we have 16 of these roll cards, and they're actually more like tiles. They're nice and thick. And they have the various roles that are popular in the game Werewolf. So we have our villagers, and we have our werewolves here, and we've got a seer, and we've got the robber, and a whole bunch of other different characters that can be used during the game. We also have 16 of these little role tokens that can be used in a few different ways, and I'll explain them more when we get into the gameplay, but there's 16 of those. And then we have a rule book here that has an explanation of how to play the game, and then also a script to use for each of the different characters. Now, in this game, you don't really need to have a moderator, and one thing that's really cool is that there is an app that can be used to play One Night Ultimate Werewolf, and I have it here. This is a Nexus tablet, so it runs on the Android system, but they also have it for the iOS as well, and I will show you how to use this when we go ahead and play the game. So with that, let me get this set up and I will show you how to play. Okay, I've gone ahead and I've set this game up for 4 players, and first thing that I want to note in One Night Ultimate Werewolf, that there is going to be more roles available than there are players, and that is because this action in gameplay takes place over only one night instead of multiple nights like your regular werewolf game. So what I have done here is there's 3 additional roles here according to the rules of the game. Now what I have done is I have set this up as a basic game for 4 players, and I have the villager, the werewolf, the seer, the robber, and the troublemaker are the suggested roles to be used. Now what I've done is I've taken those respective cards and I've shuffled them up and I've placed them in a stack here, and then I have also placed their respective tokens out on the board as well. And there's a couple things that I want to show you concerning these tokens, and so I'm just going to grab a few of them here. And first of all, what you can do with these is you can place them out and use them and show what characters are being used in this particular game. And if you're playing multiple games, then you can call them rounds or whatever. If you have all of the tokens out for display and you have a role that's not being used, you can just flip it over and you can essentially dim it out. Okay, now another thing that you can do is you can take all of the character tokens and you can place them into a pouch, and you can draw out and randomly determine what characters are going to be used for that particular game. So you just make sure you draw out one for each number of players plus 3 additional ones, and you can use those. Okay, and then what else you can do is you can use these as you're playing the course of the game. If you try to supposedly figure out who a character is, you can place it there to kind of help during the discussion so that everybody kind of is on the same page. Now, one other thing here I want to bring attention to is that each of these particular tokens has a number on them. The werewolf here has a 2. I'm sure it's probably a little blurry, but let me get up here so you can see. Here it'll take a second to focus, but the number 2 that's on there is going to be the order in which they wake up. So the werewolves are going to wake up earlier, and then there's the seer and the troublemaker. So each of these will have a number on there except for a villager. A villager does not wake up. And so based upon which characters are in play, this is the order that they'll wake up. So even though the seer is number 5, if nobody else is being used before them, then the seer will wake up first. But there's got to be werewolves in the game, so they'll wake up before that. So next, what I have done is I've gone ahead and I have set up the app that I'm going to be using, because this is like the narrator. And if you see on here, we've got various characters, and if I choose not to use them, if I press it, now it's not being used. If I press it, it gets dark, it's in use. So I have the respective characters being used for this game, and I went ahead and I set the game timer for 1 minute for the purpose of this review. Now, what's going to happen is once the game starts, the narrator will call on the different roles, and then they will execute their abilities, and I'll allow the narrator to explain that to you what happens. At the end, that'll happen all during the night phase. At the end of the night phase, everybody will wake up. It will tell you to wake up, and then there will be a discussion, and you will try to figure out who's the werewolf, who's the villager. You'll try to bluff. So there's going to be a lot of discussion going back and forth. If you're a werewolf, you want to try and keep your identity hidden. Finally, at the end, this will call for a vote, and everybody at the same time will point to who they think the werewolf is. And those will be the votes. And then what happens is the player with the most votes dies and reveals his or her card. And in the case of a tie, if they have the same number of votes, whoever has those most, if they're tied, they all will die, and they will reveal their cards. And if no one receives more than 1 vote, so for example here, if you're playing with 4 players and everybody points to each other, nobody's going to get more than 1 vote, and then nobody will die. So you have to have more than 1 vote in order to die. And then the village team will win if at least 1 werewolf dies, or if no one is a werewolf and no one dies. And the werewolf team can only win if at least one player is the werewolf and he does not die. Now, it is possible that no one will be a werewolf, that they may end up in the center here, and I'm going to show you how that works here. So what I have done here now is I'll move this off. These are shuffled up, and I will deal 1 card face down to each player here. We want to keep the cards kind of close in the playing area, and then 3 cards will be placed face down in the middle. Okay? So now each player will look at their role. We have a werewolf here, and we have a villager here. We have another werewolf here, and we have a villager here. So this is going to be very interesting, because now looking at the game, we know that the seer, the robber, and the troublemaker are all in the middle, so they're not really going to be able to execute their roles. Now, these 2 will try to work to say that they are something that they're not in order to stay alive. So let me just kind of give you the narration here and see how the game plays.
Everyone, close your eyes. Werewolves, wake up and look for other werewolves.
Now these 2 players will open their eyes and look at each other, and so that they know that they're werewolves.
Werewolves, close your eyes. Seer, wake up. You may look at another player's card, or 2 of the center cards.
So the seer would be able to look at somebody else's player, or 2 of the cards from the middle.
Seer, close your eyes. Robber, wake up. You may exchange your card with another player's card, and then view your new card. Robber, close your eyes. Troublemaker, wake up. You may exchange cards between 2 other players.
The troublemaker could just kind of switch 2 cards if they want to, just to mess with people.
Troublemaker, close your eyes. Everyone, wake up.
So now, all of those actions would occur with everyone's eyes closed, so they won't necessarily know what has happened. So somebody may start the game off being a werewolf, thinking that they are one, but either the robber or the troublemaker could have switched their roles. And so they'll wake up and there'll be a bit of dialogue, and somebody will say, well, I'm a villager, you know, and I didn't, you know, I saw this, or I heard this, or I think this, or something. And so everybody is going to have this discussion and trying to figure out who the werewolf is. But the werewolves are going to try to divert some of their attention. They're going to say, well, you know, I'm the seer, you know, and I looked at his card, and he's a werewolf. And you're going to try and cast doubt and see who's going to kind of buckle under the pressure. And so this is going to go on over the course of however long you set the timer for the game. Now here...
Time is up, everyone. 3, 2, 1, vote.
And so they'll point fingers at who they think is going to be the werewolf. And so if they did, if somebody pointed here, if we had the most votes and they flipped it over and it was a werewolf, then the village team would win. And then you can shuffle up and you can go ahead and play again. And that is essentially how you play One Night Ultimate Werewolf. Okay, let's talk about One Night Ultimate Werewolf. And this game is a lot of fun, and I prefer this version of Werewolf opposed to the long drawn out version just because it's more approachable and it plays really quickly, and there's no player elimination. So if you get eliminated early, you're not stuck sitting around for a long time waiting to see how the game pans out itself. So let me first start off by talking about the components that come with this game, and they are very, very good quality, like tile stock for each of the player character cards. So you have them, you know, they're nice and sturdy and they can stand up to a lot of use. Now, they don't shuffle really, really well, but there's not that many of those tiles they have, so you can just put them on a table, swirl them around, stack them up a few times, and you're ready to go. And the tokens that come with the game are a nice touch to do a few different things to help you out. Number one, you can use them as a randomizer for the game to see which roles are going to be available, and then also you can kind of have them all out, and then you just kind of highlight which ones are in play for that particular round. And then also you can use them as deduction aids, and it is also nice to kind of look at them and be able to familiarize yourself with who's going to wake up and when. Now, the one thing that I want to say is that this app that you can use is, I almost think it's a necessity to use the game, because then you have, or to play the game, I'm sorry, you don't have to have somebody calling out the roles. So you really don't, this makes it moderator free 100%. You just press the start button and you're all set to go. I mean, the nice thing is, you know, again, you can change who you're going to have in the game. It's very, very simple, and the app is free. You don't have to pay for this. So that is a very, very, very nice tool that can be used to play this game. Now, the gameplay is very, very, very simple. There's only one night, so you only have one time to execute your actions, and then the rest of it is going to be a lot of discussion, and then finally at the end is going to be time for a vote. Now, if you are new to Werewolf or any of those social deduction games, you have to realize that a lot of bluffing is involved, so you are kind of having to maybe stretch the truth a little bit in order to not be found out. I mean, this is, you're trying to, if you are a werewolf, try to stay alive, and if you're a villager, you are trying to determine who the werewolf is. And just through the course of your words, you can try to trip somebody up if you're suspicious of them, because they're like, well, if you did this, then what did you see? And then they're like, oh, I saw that, and then somebody else will say, well, no, how can he be that role? I'm that. And so it causes a lot of, it causes your mind to kind of spin, which is kind of what this game wants you to have happen to you. And then you have to use your best judgment when it's time to call for a vote, and then everybody does it simultaneously, 3, 2, 1, vote, and everybody just kind of points to see what's going on. So there is a lot of, your mind is going 100% during this game, which is really, really good. And it's a lot of fun. It's very social. You just laugh, and again, the game plays so quickly that when you're done, you're going to want to play the game again. Now, looking at this game from a family perspective, this can be played with a family. Now, yes, there is bluffing involved, but you're not specifically telling somebody, you're not teaching them to lie. And because you're supposed to tell the truth, that's what we're supposed to do. But during the course of this game, there is some bluffing, so you have to be aware that you may encourage them to stretch the truth a little bit. Now, again, though, looking at this game from a family perspective, it's all in good fun because it's over the course of a game, and that's one of the things that they're trying to do to stay alive. Now, younger players, they can grasp the concept of this game. It may take a few rounds for them to understand what is going on, but they can pick it up. And so even as a family, you can play this game because you can play it with as few as 3 players. So if you are a household that is just a husband, a wife, and a single child who's old enough to play this game, then the 3 of you can play and have just as much fun playing this game as a group of 100 playing the traditional werewolf game. And this will play a lot quicker, so you can play a lot more times and nobody's been eliminated and sitting around waiting. So it's really good that way. And then again, this game, looking at it from a family perspective, you are using your mind to process information and you're using your mouth to articulate words. So you're going to be able to communicate because you're speaking. You're also going to have to listen to what everybody else is saying, and you're going to be able to have to process that information, and you're going to have to make a decision. So there are a bunch of skills that playing this game can develop. Now, you can also use this game in a corporate setting and using it as team building exercises, and also using it for developing communication skills because of the fact that during this game you have to speak, you have to listen, and you have to process information. So this can be done something very, very quickly as an icebreaker for a team meeting. You can break this out real quick and probably it'll be a really, really nice surprise that you can quickly explain this game and quickly play through, and you can change the whole mood even in a business setting. So not only is this game fun, but it can also be used a tool for professionals and a tool for families for developing certain skills too. So again, I really enjoy this particular version of Werewolf. This one night, it plays very, very quickly. You can get your werewolf fix on without having to try and gather up a whole ton of people to play. And again, it just takes place over one night, so there is no elimination here. So again, this is the version of Werewolf that I prefer. And if you want to give it a try yourself, then go ahead and pick yourself up a copy. It's available right now. And for more information on the game, you can click the link in the video description below. All right? So that's One Night Ultimate Werewolf. All right. And that's it for now. And join me again next time as we take a look at another game and we see how it makes it to the table.